To Mr. Sujan Chinoy, former ambassador to Japan, also joining us. Unfortunate news that's coming in from Japan, and a lot of people have been speaking about how this kind of gun violence is unheard of in the country. It's always had a reputation of being extremely peaceful.
Yes, thank you for bringing me onto your channel. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Look, this is devastating news that we have woken up to this morning. And there is a pall of gloom, as I see it, around the world, as television images show that former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has been, shot with a shotgun during an election rally in Nara. So may I just mention a couple of things about the forensics part as I have seen it unfolding on television. Japan, obviously is praying for his good health and recovery. And I think there are millions of prayers around the world, including on the lips of Indians, for his well-being. But as far as the ballistics is concerned, what I saw is a sawed-off, double-barreled, side-by-side shotgun shown by television images. Normally, a shotgun has devastating effect, and the assassin seems to have used a shotgun deliberately. A shotgun shell, which is the standard 12-gauge shotgun using a 2.75-inch shell, normally has 8 buckshot in it. Each of the buckshot is the equivalent of a 7.6 mm, rifle slug. If you have 8 of these, or 3 or 4 or 5 of these slamming into a human being, you can imagine the kind of devastating effect. In this case, he has used his side-by-side barrels to let off both shots one after the other. In any case, this kind of a weapon, uses 2 shells at a time before reloading. So that is as far as the ballistics is concerned. I'm only speculating. But even without a choke to concentrate the fire, I would imagine that this is buckshot that was used, because nobody else seems to have been hit by the scatter shot. If it is bird shot, if it is shot of a smaller caliber, it has a much bigger scatter effect, and someone else would have also been hit by that shot. That's insofar as the ballistics is concerned, and let the investigations reveal what kind of shotgun ammunition was used. But we are all devastated. I personally am greatly saddened at the turn of events, for we have seen, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe contribute so much to our bilateral relationship.
Very true. Sir, from your analysis, based on the images that we've received, at least of that weapon, is this, a homemade shotgun, one? Second, is this a professional? Did it take a professional to be able to fire directly at the former Prime Minister in such a manner?
Look, I'm speaking purely
I understand.
based on my, in my personal capacity, and I do not wish to say anything that insinuates, or impacts on any kind of investigation. But if you ask me to comment on what I have seen purportedly shown on television as the alleged, firearm used there, I would say that number one, a sawed-off shotgun is normally used in the world of crime. Japan has very strict gun laws, stricter than most countries. Small arms are very difficult to come by in Japan. Virtually no one will have small arms. Virtually no one will have a license for what you might call other standard weapons, like a rifle with a rifle barrel, for instance. Shotguns, in extreme cases, regular shotguns, would be issued to farmers in countries like Australia and Japan, which have strict gun laws, for the purpose of dealing with pests and vermin in the agricultural sector. Japan being an economy that still puts a great deal of emphasis on its agriculture, I wouldn't be surprised if normal shotguns are occasionally, and in the rare case, issued to some farmers. But this didn't look to me, if that is the weapon indeed, it didn't look to me like a regular shotgun.
Yeah.
It's the typical sawed-off double-barreled shotgun. In this case, what was shown was also covered with a black cloth. And by the way, it doesn't take much skills to use a shotgun. A shotgun, unlike a regular firearm, does not use a single bullet. It is not a rifled barrel. It is a smooth, barrel inside. It's a tube basically. And when the scatter shot goes out, it goes out with a certain sort of spread. That's what we call a spread of the shot hitting the target. Now, nobody else seems to have been hit, so I would rule out what you call bird shot or smaller shot. And I would go in favor of speculating at this stage that whoever used it used the shot with knowledge of firearms, because he would have used typically larger shot, what we normally would call buckshot. And as I said, if in a typical cartridge, 8 such shots in a 12-gauge shotgun, each is equivalent to a 7.62 mm, projectile. But anyway, let's leave it to the ballistics experts to decide this. I'm simply speaking by way of off-the-cuff remarks with absolutely no desire to impact on the truth being revealed. This kind of a shotgun, sawed-off, as you know, is typically used for criminal intent and purpose, because nobody uses shotguns on farms, on pests and vermins, or even to bring down game, if they are licensed hunters, for instance, with sawed-off weapons. Sawed-off weapons are meant to create mayhem, devastation at close quarters, and are easily concealed in a coat or in a jacket, and they are meant to, shock and awe, either indoors or outdoors. So that's where my, tentative remarks would end on this. And let the investigations establish what kind of, ballistics were used in this. I'm simply giving off-the-cuff remarks based on what I've seen so far.
Yeah, we understand that, but I think your expertise is also helping us greatly in understanding, sir, what kind of an attack this was. And from what you've told us, it's clear this was premeditated. This was an assassination attempt.
No, I didn't say premeditated. I do not know about the premeditation part.
Okay.
I'm simply commenting on the physical aspects of what I have seen purportedly being shown on television screens as the alleged piece of firearm that was used. Your screens have been showing that, and I'm simply commenting on that. And as I said earlier, it does not take any great expertise to shoot a target at close distance with a shotgun, and even less with a sawed-off shotgun. I'm making some basic remarks on those that understand firearms would appreciate what I'm saying.
Yes, it's greatly appreciated, because like I said, it helps us understand the nature of this crime, the nature of this attack on the former Prime Minister.
All I can say is that if someone uses a shotgun, the general purpose of using a shotgun on a human being or a human target, knowing its devastating effects and sort of lethal effect of a shotgun at close quarters, it would appear that the intent would be to ensure that the particular objective is achieved. And that's the kind of thought behind anyone using a shotgun at close quarters on a human target. And without hitting someone else in that scatter range, I would say it would point in the direction of very lethal buckshot.
Sir, also, as the former ambassador to Japan, just help us understand also Japan's culture, because I've seen a lot of questions coming up saying, hey, is this a security breach? But do you see these kind of attacks?
I have no comments on that. I have no comments on that. All I would say is that we all pray for Prime Minister Abe's well-being. We pray for his recovery. He has been a visionary for Japan. He has been a visionary for our bilateral relations. His rapport with Prime Minister Narendra Modi is well known, though it's a fact that Prime Minister Modi's rapport with Japanese leaders went beyond Prime Minister Abe, as well, as we have seen in the fact that his successors in Japan have also continued to strengthen our bilateral strategic and global partnership. But speaking about Prime Minister Abe, when he came to office in 2007 for the first time, he was there for a little under a year. His personal circumstances did not permit him to to stay on. But when he came a second time in 2012, he came with that vision for Japan, with that slogan of Japan is back. And he was the driving force in all these years behind many dominant themes like the free and open Indo-Pacific, the Quad, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, even the Japanese infrastructure program, which is known as Enhanced Partnership for Quality Infrastructure. I mean, he came to power after the triple disaster, as you know, and he had his hands full. Between 2012 and 2020, when he gave up the post of Prime Minister in favor of former Prime Minister Suga, who was earlier his Chief Cabinet Secretary, he became the longest serving Prime Minister of Japan ever. And in recent years, again, after leaving office, he was quite active. He was kind of taking center stage in the discourse on Taiwan, as well as things began to heat up in the northeast end of the Indo-Pacific. He was frequently seen to be commenting on, why Japan needs a debate on its 3 nuclear no's, that is, no production, no possession, and no permitting, nuclear weapons on its soil. Mm-hmm. He had started that debate. Of course, within the LDP, there were people who did not necessarily agree to reviewing that 3 no's policy straight away. But he was also active in the US, Japan, and Taiwan trilateral, which was looking at Indo-Pacific security in a broader sense. His rich dialogue with India over the years is so very well known. In fact, during my time as ambassador between December 2015 and December 2018, there were 4 summits. And the images that we have of the Ganga Aarti, in December 2015, Prime Minister Narendra Modi hosting Prime Minister Abe in Varanasi. I mean, these are really abiding images. And in many ways, I would say that he has strode the India-Japan relationship like a colossus. And we all pray for his well-being.